Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1989 action sports classic, No Holds Barred, starring Hulk Hogan, some other people you may or may not be aware of. Each week on the B Movie Club, we discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics. You can go ahead and reach us on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Give us the big thumbs up. You can also go to our page on YouTube, Kevin D. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. And you can also follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. You do those things, you'll get the latest updates, whenever a video's coming out. That way you can have kind of an interactive relationship with us. Send us your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, any questions or comments you have, any movie suggestions. You know what I'm saying? Open the door. Open door policy is how I roll. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget to spread the word and let all your homies know as well. No Holds Barred. In this movie, Hulk Hogan plays the famous wrestler Rip Thomas. And each night that wrestling is on, where he's wrestling somebody, the ratings are huge. Sadly, there's a competing network who's just getting killed in the ratings because of this. Their plan is to try to seduce Rip Thomas to leave the network he's on now and come to their network. Unfortunately, Rip Thomas, he's a man of his word. He has a contract. His word is his bond. He's a hero. It's not about money. It's not about these other things. So, this evil network executive comes up with his own plan. He's going to find his own kind of wrestling thing. He's going to call it Battle... He's going to call it Battle of the Tough Guys. It's kind of a tough man competition, kind of a precursor to UFC and that sort of things, where it's just basically, all the tough guys from across the world come on down to this old dilapidated roadhouse, bar, whatever it is. It happens to have like kind of a ring in the middle of it, and duke it out, and whoever is the winner will get $100,000. So all these crazy old flunkies come out of the woodwork, hillbillies, lumberjacks, a great cross-section of America, if you ask me. Come in there fighting each other, boom, one after another, all sweaty and their hair and wearing wife beaters and like overalls and things. And then the doors fly open of this roadhouse. Boom. And this big guy comes walking in with his arms out to his side like this. Shaved head, big black guy, with a Z carved into his hair on the side of his head. He's got a crazy unibrow that like this, except on one side it only goes about halfway because he's got kind of a crazy scar right here. So it's like big unibrow, stops right here, and he's cross-eyed. He's like, I can't really do it well. And he announces himself as Zeus. And I say announces himself because he he's really not that articulate. As he's fighting, he's just doing a lot of screaming. Like he's Godzilla or somebody. Okay? He quickly dispatches all the other contenders, taking on one at a time, two at a time, three at a time, doesn't matter. So he's the big winner. And now because the show is on the evil network, ratings are going up through the roof. People are totally interested in this. But now they have kind of a vendetta against Hulk Hogan. Rip Thomas. At one point, they were like trying to kidnap him, trying to intimidate him, and force him to go on their network. He wasn't having it because he's not just a wrestler. He's like a superhero. Okay? He doesn't just body slam people. He's like, jumping through the air. He's literally like the Incredible Hulk. He's throwing people over, He's superhumanly strong, evidently. He is like Superman. But now the evil Zeus, now they want to set up a match between Zeus and Rip Thomas. Um, so, is it still a wrestling match? Is it, MMA? What is the story now? Rip Thomas doesn't want to do it necessarily. He's even though he's in wrestling every week, he's kind of like, well, I don't really fight for no reason. I'm a hero. Blah blah blah. But basically they've got all these issues where he's got his brother who's been sent to the hospital. Zeus beat him up. His Rip Thomas's manager / girlfriend, whatever she is. At one point they're kidnapping her. So now the match is going down between Zeus and Rip Thomas. But now the executives are like, uh-oh, what happens if Rip Thomas wins? So we've got the girlfriend kidnapped to try to force him to take a fall. I don't want to spoil everything. I don't want to give it all away. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix. I have to say, when this movie came out back in '89, I was a youngish type guy who's still kind of into wrestling at that point. But it was a big deal. I wanted to go out and check it out. Zeus was supposed to be like the new villain in wrestling. So I wanted to check it all out. Hulk Hogan was the biggest wrestler at that time. And the studio who was trying to do this was, obviously made by what was at the time called WWF, World Wrestling Federation. Recently, a little side note, they had to change it to WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, because they got sued by the other WWF, the World Wildlife Fund. Evidently there's some confusion, which one do you donate money to, which one has the big old sweaty guys rolling around on the floor. It's very confusing. Anyway, they were trying to cash in on Hulk Hogan's success. Hulk Hogan a few years earlier had been in Rocky III playing Thunderlips. So wrestling is big. Hulk Hogan's in this movie, so they're like, okay, well, we're going to try to push Hulk Hogan as now he's in movies and stuff. And Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon said this. Vince McMahon is like the head guy at the WWE and the guy who was pushing No Holds Barred. He said, years later, that Hulk Hogan said, if this isn't a hit, then I'll give you back all of my salary. I'll refund you my money. And Vince McMahon said, I guess that check got lost in the mail. No Holds Barred was not a hit. It was the opposite of a hit. It wound up it cost about $8 million to make, and it about broke even. It started out as like the #2 movie when it came out, just behind Indiana Jones and the Lost Crusade, or Last Crusade. I always mix those up. And then right after that, right off a cliff. This movie is very much focusing on kind of a 13-year-old boy audience. There's a lot of Hulk Hogan close-ups of him mugging and making crazy faces. A lot of screaming. Which may work when you're in the middle of like an arena where people can't really get the close-up when there's a camera 6 inches from your face. It's a little off-putting, to say the least. There's bathroom humor. There's, again, if you're a 13-year-old boy, this is the movie for you. When you're 38, like I am, a little more questionable. Acting, Hulk Hogan's acting is horrific. It's, what are you going to do? Some of it has some comedic elements, but mostly they're unintentional. So take with that what you will. Again, it gets kind of blurry because in this movie, they treat professional wrestling as if it's a real sport. So, when he's actually fighting Zeus, obviously it takes on like this is a real life or death match. Zeus is wearing like a chainmail mesh shirt and like huge, like, Wonder Woman wristband kind of things, metal wristbands where he's using to beat people with. And I guess it's No Holds Barred. I mean, there's a ref there. Is he just there for fun? There's a lot of times where the ref's like, no, can't, and of course then the ref's getting beaten up by the by the wrestler. Anything goes at a wrestling match, I guess is what it comes down to. So what are you going to do about it? Also, kind of funny is at the same time that Vince McMahon was mocking this movie, another announcer basically said, no holds barred, how about no profits allowed? Wah, wah, wah. Not a big hit. Didn't do very well. I mean, what do you expect? Shakespeare? Come on. When the biggest star of the show is a professional wrestler, what are you going to get? Although I have to tell you, I kind of like The Rock, all things being equal. I enjoy The Rock. Maybe I'm a hypocrite. Can't explain it. What else can I tell you about this movie? The villain Zeus was played by this actor named Tiny Lister, who you've seen in quite a few things. He's a big, huge guy. He's like 6'5", muscle-bound. And I think the idea was he was going to present himself as this big villain in this movie and then kind of bleed over onto their regular show, the WWE wrestling show. Problem was he wasn't like classically trained as a wrestler. He was just kind of a bodybuilder, and like I think he was did the shot put like in college, something like that. So he wound up only appearing in about 6 or 7 matches. That also had to do with the fact that because No Holds Barred, the movie was kind of a bust. They had no interest in really kind of pushing it up. I guess at one point, the big match at WrestleMania was supposed to be Hulk Hogan versus Zeus, but because it sucked, that they made that kind of an undercard match a little bit earlier, so c'est la vie. Tiny Lister, or Zeus, or whatever he is called, I think at one point his wrestling nickname eventually became Z-Gangster or something like that. I don't know. They didn't ask my opinion on it, okay? He's still listed as one of the top 500 wrestlers of all time. I don't know. He only had 6 matches. I mean, how many wrestlers have there been, I guess? I don't know. So, there you have it. It's No Holds Barred. Hulk Hogan actually did go on to do several other movies, a handful of other movies after this, but he pretty much lost his window there. The costumes alone that Hulk Hogan is wearing in this movie are ridiculous. They all seem to be made of some kind of skin-tight satin or sheer material. He's wearing a lot of kind of short shorts like the basketball players used to wear in the late 70s. It's a little too much Hulk Hogan, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? He is huge, though. And they show him he's not just tall, but he's like gigantic. He used to say he had like 24-inch pythons. Hopefully he was referring to his arms. Don't ask no questions. But what are you going to do? I mean, in this movie, he's a wrestler, he's an MMA fighter, he's a superhero. Again, he's like ripping doors off cars and throwing them. He's smashing through windshields. He's pretty much indestructible, so what are you going to do? If this is your speed, again, it is still streaming on Netflix. You can rush out and see it. It currently has an 11% extraordinarily rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. Can't say I disagree. I was sitting here rewatching it for the first time in 20 years, and I was just going, oh God, good Lord. It's funny though, like I said, there was a period of time that I was very much into professional wrestling. But I bump into people now who are my age who are still into wrestling. Who are like, oh man, I love wrestling. It's like, oh really? Okay. Not that I'm to judge. I still read comic books, so what are you going to do? Moving away from No Holds Barred, we're going to be going to the horror, action, crime genre. From Dusk Till Dawn. Written by Quentin Tarantino, directed by Robert Rodriguez, starring George Clooney, Salma Hayek. Sadly, Quentin Tarantino is in this one as well. What are you going to do? It is streaming instantly on Netflix, so rush out and see it. Let me know what you think. You can reach me on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. You can subscribe to our page on YouTube, and you can follow me on Twitter at The B Movie Club. Don't forget to spread the word and tell all your homies. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote. And here it is. Mean Gene, how dare you criticize how I dress? I dress for the occasion. This is a stupendous occasion. And of course, I dress stupidiously. That was my Jesse the Body Ventura impression. So, thank you. Thank you. So, thank you for joining us next week from Dusk Till Dawn. Be well.